Welcome to Medford Neighborhood Church's Growth Group Video Week 2 with Pastor Lee Gregory.
Well, I didn't get to enjoy a banquet or a potluck meal like we usually have at our Bible studies or our growth groups, however you want to call them. We call them growth groups because no matter what, when we get together, we hope people grow closer to their walk, to their Lord, their God, and closer to each other. That's a growth group. We use the Bible as our guide. I'm going to continue in a direction of study dealing with questions, big questions. And last gathering, we talked about and saw the biggest question of all time. The biggest question every soul would have to address. I thought I'd get right to the biggest one. At least the biggest question according to the Old and New Testaments. The biggest question according to Jesus. Should those who have recorded his journey been accurate? Jesus asked others around him, "Who do others say that I am?" But the biggest question gets very personal, and it's one soul at a time. Who do you say that I am? By the way, if I were to answer that real quick, and I only had a few moments to say it, I would have to declare it is my view and choice to myself, a choice I declared in my own heart, a message I declared to me, that I believe Jesus is every part and every identity and everything he said he is. I believe he is. And we're going to see what was said about Jesus and who he really is and his identity. But most important, we'll eventually see, what did Jesus say about himself? I believe, like Peter declared last week to us, he is the Christ, the Son of the living God. When we come to the end of this time of study on this topic, on this question, I would like to say I believe also what Thomas said about Jesus. For Thomas was the first one to publicly declare and state his personal belief that Jesus isn't just the Messiah or the Christ, and he isn't just the Son of God, but Thomas was the one the apostle who doubted, the one who didn't accept Peter's quick proclamations as fact. Thomas said, I'm not going to believe he's resurrected. I'm not going to believe that this is a great thing has happened until I see for myself, until I see the pierced hands and the pierced feet. But bottom line, so I don't take too long, Thomas said when he saw the resurrected Jesus, well, what did he say? You're right, some of you who know this. And those who don't, Thomas, when he saw the resurrected Jesus, I believe he didn't just say it. I believe he gasped it. I believe it stunned him. I believe it shouted out of his soul, my Lord and my God. What did Thomas say? My Lord and my God. That's 5 words. What did Thomas say about Jesus with his life? You can study that on your own. You can look that up. Ask Siri. Ask some source. What was Thomas's life after he said the words, my Lord and my God? Thomas's life was absolutely changed, transformed. You never hear him doubt again throughout history. I've been a pastor, which means I've been with professing Christians, those who claim to be Christians, for a lot of years, for my life, over 40 years. I've seen a lot of people declare that Jesus is their Lord and God. And I've seen some whose lives have been turned from night to day, whose lives really show they were actually like born again, a brand new life. And I've seen others who have said he's their Lord and God, and they never got free from the life before. They were held captive to their state of brokenness. Well, I don't want to go too far into this. So we heard that Peter had declared, you are the Christ, the Son of the living God. I want to show you what another person ultimately declares. A guy named John. Here's John's answer to the Who is Jesus? I'm going to the book of John, actually the Gospel of John, chapter 1. Perhaps, I would hope this is a passage people would really consider what it declares in just a few verses. The most important points in just a few opening verses. John chapter 1. Here's John's declaration. If John had a child that came up and said, Grandpa, how did I get here? How did I get here? Which is a big question. One of the big questions of life. How did I get here? Why am I here? But how did I get here? And here's what John says. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God. I'm reading from New King James, but again, most every version of a Bible reads this way unless it has truly been purposely distorted by somebody with another agenda or desire. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God. I could take you to Greek texts and Greek words. Let you know the term word is a very big word, kerygma. It's a very big term. But for this gathering, let's keep it the way it's written in our language. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God. With means like alongside, beside. It creates two separate perceptions. When you're with something, there it is. I'm with this lamp. I'm actually with this camera. I'm with you, but you're quite a ways away maybe. We're beside each other. Okay? In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God. And then it goes on to say, and the Word was God. Uh-oh. I know I said that quick. The Word was with God, and the Word was God. There are religious people out there that try to say there's only one God, and this God is only one, and any other expressions of life can't be God then, because there's only one God. Well, let me tell you, I agree there's only one God. There's only been one God, one creator, one voice that could say, let there be. But that one God can manifest His presence, reveal His identity any way He wants in any form. All started with a message. Hey, Grandpa, how did this all start? Well, there's a God. There's a God who starts it all. And by an expression of His Word, His will, an expression of whatever. I think in English. No, I think. My brain's thinking right now, I hope. Am I thinking? Yeah, I just said to myself, yes. Are you thinking? Do you think in a language? Do your words? See, I want you to know, anybody who tells you words aren't important, words are the essence of life. It was the essence of the beginning of life. We can't even leave the value of an expressed will, a formed will. And in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Remember this, beside and yet one. He was in the beginning with God. Now, we just had the term word, which in my English vocabulary is not a he, nor a she. The term word is an it, a thing. But I want you to know, John wants you to know that in this case, the word is more than a thing. It's a he. And I imagine you're going to get there in your thought process. Who is this he? Well, he was in the beginning with God. Here comes some more stunning truths about who do you say Jesus is. All things were made through Him, and without Him nothing was made that is made. Let me try another phrase. Without Him nothing was created that is created. Without Him creation didn't happen. In Genesis, when it says, the scriptures declare, and God said, let us make man in our image. Us, plural. God said. I don't know how He should choose to do it. But did you know, right off the bat, you were created. I was created. We're an existence of God's ongoing creation. We exist because of His ongoing creation. And it began because He said, He declared from His heart, soul, existence, however He did it, He said, let there be. And He created us, and let me make this succinct and clear for all of us who is listening. We were made knowing God. We were created to know the reality of God. We're created to know the reality of God. In fact, I love animals. I really do. I could make all kinds of jokes or teasing, but let's just make sure we know, and I want you to know, I love all animals. Yet, in that knowing that I love animals, did you know you and I are the only creatures that are aware of God? That even have the capability of being aware of God. I have a very smart dog. According to professionals, the border collie I have could almost get a 2-year-old's level of vocabulary, 2 to 3-year-old. My dog has a pretty good vocabulary, but he has an attitude of a junior higher. Because while he knows my commands, he also knows he doesn't want to always obey them. My point being, as smart as my dog is, he has no concept, not even a clue about God. No awareness. Now God knows creation, but not all creation knows the reality of God. Every human culture across this planet, throughout all recorded time, are filled with souls who have an awareness of God, the thought of God. And a soul is given life with an awareness, don't know how it happens, it just is, with an awareness that there is more to life than themselves. We believe naturally that when our body quits, there's got to be more. Now that's how we are born to believe. Now I didn't say everybody believes that now. There is a verse in your Old Testament that declares we can be fooled. We can be fooled. Our appetites can be tricked and deceived. And so the verse I was about to quote from the Old Testament, you can look it up on your own. It says, "The fool says in his heart, there is no God." Don't be insulted by that term, fool. It's actually a term of a victim. See, if you choose foolishness, that's sad. But it's even worse when someone has fooled you. See, when you're fooled, it means you've been fooled. To be fooled, some message had to trick you or deceive you. And so I'm not going to go long except to say you were created knowing God and to know God. I'll show that in the next study at another batch of verses. Right now, I'm just asking you to consider, is there ever a time in your soul that you were aware there's more to life than you? There's more to life than this world and this time? Going back to John, all things were made through him, and without him nothing was made that was made. In him was life, and life would be the light of men. In him was life, and the life was the light of men. I'm not going to read the next verses for this study. You can read them on your own. I'm in John chapter 1. I'm going to jump to the same passage, to the same teaching, but listen to this message. In the beginning was the Word. The Word was with God, and the Word was God. And then we jump to verse 14 of chapter 1. Verse 14. And the Word became flesh and dwelt among us, and we beheld his glory. This is what John said. John is declaring he became flesh, he dwelt among us. We saw him. We saw him. Can you imagine him saying this person that looked like Jesus was his glory? They saw the glory of God in Jesus. John must have saw something a lot of our people don't see today. The glory of God in Jesus. Hear it again. The Word became flesh. The Word that was with God. The Word that was God. And that Word became flesh. And dwelt among us, and we beheld his glory. The glory as the only begotten of the Father. The glory as one, the only child of the Father. That's what it means, the only begotten. The only life that was born of the Father. The only life. His existence comes from the Father. We beheld his glory. And then in his closing verse here, end of this verse, he was full of grace and truth. Who do you say that Jesus is? Simon Peter, you are the Christ, the Son of the living God. John, you are God. You are the Word made flesh. You are God. That's what John said. Now, I said it earlier, an apostle that doubted, what was his name? That's right, Thomas. Thomas said, when he saw the living Jesus, the one who had been hung on a cross, standing before him fully alive, with nail marks in his hands and feet, Thomas said, my Lord and my God. And from then on, Thomas's life revealed that message, that belief, his declaration of faith. What's our life showing? What does our life really reveal that we believe? What does our life reflect is truly our faith? Again, Jesus challenged us, if you love me, then obey me. If you want more information regarding this study, come back for our next one as we continue the journey of answering the biggest question. Thank you.
Please join us next Saturday in our continuing series of growth group messages.